Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about right now.
What's happening?
It's Reefing Report Saturday, and thank you for joining us, everybody, for a day early. We're doing it a day early because we have a guest host. Mark is out. He says not vacationing because he's got his kids with him. He says he's on a trip. But we do have the most awesome Greg Carroll here as a guest host. Greg, thank you so much for joining us and helping us out.
Thank you, Terrence. Thanks for having me. We have been known to banter back and forth before, so this
Absolutely.
is awesome.
It's definitely comfortable, but not everybody knows who Greg Carroll is. So first and foremost, Greg, give us just give us 15 seconds of who Greg Carroll is and how does he relate to reef keeping?
Well, I'm a hobbyist, first and foremost. I'm also the president of the Southern California Marine Aquarium Science Society. Still. And,
you're like Putin, man.
The ones that bring Reefapalooza. So a lot of people know me. You go to Reefapalooza, you've definitely heard my voice on the microphone because that's me who does all the announcements. And I just love this hobby. I just really do. So there's something about it that drives me and pushes me to keep with it.
Well, absolutely. And Greg, your mic's cutting in and out, which means there might be some background noise there or something, or maybe you're not near your mic or something that might be happening. But anyway, I kicked up your levels a little bit. But yeah, so Greg is Mr. Reefapalooza. That is pretty much how I describe Greg. Definitely the guy who's at every Reefapalooza that I remember going to since I've been going to Reefapalooza, which is over 10 years now. That I've been going.
Terrence?
Yes?
You were there long before you were working for Neptune.
That is true. That is true. That was the Neptune BT days.
Yes, and Terrence, one thing I can tell you about Terrence, he's a hobbyist.
Yes.
You may not think he is, but he is a hobbyist. He has been forever. So he's the real deal.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that, man. And yeah, definitely love having you on the program here. You came to mind first and foremost. I know you do a live stream on Instagram that happens kind of spontaneously from time to time, usually in the morning while I'm just kind of rolling out of bed or whatever. But you have a good insight in the industry, and you've been known to more or less speak your mind. So that's definitely what we want here. And you have dogs, and you're a dog lover.
Yeah, give me a second. Let me close that door.
I know exactly how that is. I have a little Russell Terrier, and so if he starts to act up, Nancy knows to take him to the other room. But Greg's been around forever. Greg knows a lot of the pretty much everybody in the industry who is somebody. So today, on the Reefing Report, we're going to talk about a number of topics, including something that we touched on last week, which was this flow generation, random flow generation thing. And what's really cool is today, Greg, we're going to have both the creator of the video, which basically said, by the way, I created this thing, which is Kris Cleven, as well as Antonio from VCA, who produces and sells the random flow generator. He's going to be on as well. And we're going to get to ask them questions and find out what the real story is, Greg.
That sounds awesome, man.
Do you use an RFG?
No.
Why not?
So with me, it's just more or less choice. I only have one inlet coming in to my tank.
Okay.
I don't have multiple inlets. It's a 1.5 inch pipe. So it would be, if I did use one, it would be quite large.
Okay.
RFG. But I have 4 vortex in the tank. I got enough random flow between all of them. Just don't see the need.
Don't see the need. Okay. Yeah, I have 2 of them on my tank. All transparency, they were given to me from Antonio. So, and they are on the. I have sea swirls, 2 sea swirls, and I have it on both of those with a little bit of lock line. But definitely a cool product, really interesting, and Antonio does a great job demoing it at all the trade shows, including Reefapalooza.
Yes. And, there's another reason. My inlet into the tank is very high, so that if the water level drops, it breaks the siphon immediately. I'd have to have the thing lower if I use an
Yeah, that is the thing. It will pull in air if you don't have it down low. Everybody's giving you shit about your mic, by the way, because evidently it's cutting in and out on the audio. Basically, it's like it's got some side of, like you're not a Mac guy, are you? On your phone, you don't use an iPhone.
No, I use an iPhone.
Do you use an iPhone? Oh,
but I'm on my computer.
Oh, but you're on your computer. All right. Well, it's okay. Don't. It's all right. Anyway, one of the things I'm going to ask Greg about too, as he goes and tries to figure something out, as we look at his spoon, is because since I have Greg on here, we've put on here a number of weeks ago a thing about the kind of the drama between Reefapalooza and the Aquashella guys and the dates and all of that. So it absolutely is a thing, Greg. Don't sit there and shake your head like you know it's not a thing, because you know it is. So
okay,
give us some insight here. Give us the real deal.
I don't think it should be a thing. I think that Reefapalooza is a reef show, and Aquashella is an aquarium show.
Okay, but are you gonna tell me right now that both of these guys, okay, haven't tried to jockey around dates and stuff?
Absolutely.
They absolutely have.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's that's the way it looks like for me on the outside looking in. Is like, guys, can't you just all get along? Can't we Rodney King this and have some reef keeping love and figure out what places? Because you know what, a lot of people, I get that the Aquashella isn't a reef keeping show, right? But it does have reef keeping elements in it. Mm-hmm. But I know a lot of people, if you want to be in the same cities, it's fine. Just make it like 6 or 7 months apart, because people would love to be able to go, right?
Correct.
And then 6 months later go to the other one. They don't want them like the last one, which, was a couple weeks ago or whatever, a month ago, and then now we're going to have another one in April or whatever.
Yeah, but that wasn't our doing.
It's not to say whose it is, because, it's like, because the Reefapalooza guys went to Chicago after Chicago was already the Aquashella guys. I mean, let's be real, let's be honest. But, there's a lot of this going around. I'm not in any camp, trust me. No. I am not in any camp here, but it does seem like there's a lot of shenanigans.
Completely understand. However, in all honesty, we book shows 3 years out. We do.
Who's we?
I can't say the same for them.
Who's we?
Reefapalooza. Whether California or the East Coast shows that Worldwide Corals puts on.
Okay. How does that work, by the way? That's a good question I have as well, because that always was interesting to me too. How does it work when you've got, because Worldwide Corals puts on all the other shows, right? And then the Southern California Reef Aquarium Society puts on the one in Southern California, right?
Correct.
So how does that work? What's that a relationship?
Agreement. It's just a licensing agreement for them to use the name. In turn, me and usually some of the guys from the club will go and represent the club at the show.
Got it.
But so Southern California Marine Aquarium Society makes money on Reefapalooza.
Right. All the way around, every single one of them, because you have a licensing agreement for them to do it, and you give them consulting, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Correct.
Okay. I didn't know that everybody knows how that works, so that's why I wanted to at least.
So yeah.
Since you're here.
When we're working with contracts, we're working 3 years out. We try to stay 3 years out in negotiating contracts for each location.
Right.
We don't just spring on people. We know when. We can tell you when next year's show it is, if we're asked.
Right.
I mean, it's the dates are set, so we're not purposely moving dates around to coincide with them.
I see.
It's simple. It's April. April is Orlando. It's always been in April. I don't think it's ever been in a month.
No, I get that, but the ones that have been weird are like the Chicago one, right? That's the one that was kind of a little bit weird, right, at the time.
Right, the Chicago,
because that was kind of their shtick.
But it was due Chicago in October, which it might be a little colder, or do it in August and move California back to October where it should have been.
We don't need to bore anybody with the rest of this, but we get that. I think both of us want there to be love and stuff for the reef keepers, and I guess speaking for the rest of the reef keepers out here who don't have a stake in this, and who want to go to these events, maybe you guys could maybe you could work together to make sure that if you are going to be in the same cities, that you spread them out by like 6 months or something, because that would be cool for the people too, to have something every 6 months.
Would completely invite that to happen. However,
okay,
the powers that be don't communicate with us.
All right. Well, there you go.
And I've already talked to one of the powers that be on the other side.
Well, there you go.
And he blamed me
if he was here, if he was guest hosting, I would say the same thing to him. So
yeah.
That's the fact. That I do that.
No, I know for sure. I mean, I'm here for the tough answers.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm not going to be drilling you that much on this show. We're here to do this together. It's just happened to come up, and you happen to be the one here. And and Mark, and I'm going to blame this on Mark. Mark told me to ask you that, so I'm going to blame him for it. All right, so let's get to the stuff of the reef keeping news of the week, Greg, and just kind of go down the punch list. We're not going to be on the VCA thing yet, or the random flow generator, or the Kris Cleven thing. Let's start out with some of the news first. There's some calcium reactor news out there this week that I posted out there. It's not exactly new because I saw it at Reefapalooza, I believe, last year when they kind of first, showed this this calcium reactor from the CChem guys, right?
Yeah.
But they did a video, and let's see. Let me pull up make sure I'm in the right screen here. Yeah, so they did a video while they were over at, I think they were at Aquashell at this time, and they have this tiny little calcium reactor that actually sits in the water, in your sump, instead of outside of your sump, and uses a small little pump and a small little chamber, and it changes out very easily the media. What's your thoughts on that, Greg?
So I am familiar with the CChem. I've seen it a lot. My biggest thing that I like is this is something that can be in every local fish store.
Right. Well, first of all, it has to be because they don't sell online, so
right.
that's not an option for it to be anywhere but a local fish store, right?
Right. And it's small.
Right.
But I think the thing I give them most credit for, they work with a very reliable pump. And everybody else that's trying to make something that's in a local fish store, that's going to go to a local fish store that has good margin or whatnot, they're going to use just some cheapy pump.
Well, here's the thing, and again, since I'm in a new world now, right, I can say things I don't normally say or wouldn't otherwise, and maybe it's not completely clear to people. All of the products that, or at least all of them that I know of, that CChem builds, the hard products, not the chemicals and whatnot, that they make, including their overflow boxes and their canisters, and now I believe this calcium reactor and their other little reactor and their skimmer that they have and their dosing pumps, they're all built within an OEM agreement with CChem. So the pump that's on this calcium reactor is a CChem pump, and I don't know for sure, but my assumption is that all the parts and pieces are probably molded and built by CChem as well, like some of their other products. It's not a secret,
right?
Because if you go over to Interzoo, you'll see that they share a booth together at Interzoo. The CChem guys and the CChem guys do.
Right.
And so all of these products, including the dosing pumps, are collaborations with CChem to the best of my knowledge. So, it's one of those things where you are going to get the quality that CChem will give you because they're working with a quality OEM.
Yep. Yeah.
But what do you think? I mean, it's really small though, Greg. I mean, that's a tiny little calcium reactor.
It is, but the majority of people don't have tanks like yours, Terrence.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you,
this is perfect for someone who's got a 120 gallon and smaller.
This is one of the products that's on one of my little notebooks of things that I draw up of products, believe it or not, that they actually built something that's on a notepad that I, who knows when I did it years ago, is an in-sump calcium reactor that is a smaller version of the calcium reactor. And there's another way to do the CO2 as well for this that I think people could do. And I don't know the retail on it or what they're selling it for. Do you?
I have no idea.
Do you know how they're supplying the CO2? Because, see, this is the biggest problem for people, by the way, is how to get the CO2.
So when you say how, I mean, I would assume you have to get your own CO2 tank and
But that's what I mean. This is
yeah,
probably one of the biggest barriers for people to own this technology is the mystery, the refilling, the, how do I get one of these tanks? What do I do with it?
yeah,
I remember a number of years ago, and you can go look up the videos that Ryan was really gung ho on the whole calcium reactor thing, because he'd never really explored it, and I had a ton of discussions with him at Ryan at BRS, he was like, we talked about, he's like, Terrence, all you got to do is you got to turn up this knob or turn up that knob for the dosing on it. It's so easy for people, and I'm like, dude, it's all easy when it works. The moment
right.
something's not working on a calcium reactor, nobody understands how that stuff works. It's not super complicated, but the vast majority of people do not understand how the operation of a calcium reactor works. And that means that things like the CO2 tank, a needle valve, how many bubbles, what's my pH, all of those things that happen are never going to allow it to be a mainstream product, in my opinion.
I agree 100%. There's a lot, I mean, people see these things and they see all the hoses and everything, it's intimidating. But when you really look at a calcium reactor, it's just a closed loop media reactor.
Sure, absolutely.
And
absolutely, but it's when things go wrong, because there's a lot of tubes
right.
and a lot of things that can go wrong. I do have the, I do kind of have the secret to that. I have it. I know a way of making one that could work for the average Joe, and it's still better than what CCAM has. I'll keep it in my back pocket.
Okay.
But for the average guy, no doubt. But in addition to that, we also had some other calcium reactor related news, which
Yes.
there's a very well used thing called a carbon doser from aquarium plants that's been around forever. Have you ever used one, Greg?
I have not.
Okay.
I'm old school.
So yeah, well, first of all, I'm also cheap. So I don't like laying down that kind of coin for one, and nobody said, Terrence, you can have a free one. So, and that's about as honest as it gets. So, but basically the carbon doser from aquarium plants is an electronic a regulator, so to speak. A secondary regulator is the best way I could put it. So you generally have a regulator on your CO2 tank, which takes the pressure
I would
down.
actually not call it a regulator. I would call it a needle valve.
Yeah, an electronic needle valve, that's probably a
Yeah.
good way to do it, to say it. You're probably right. The way it works inside, I don't know if you know this or not, Greg, but the way it works basically inside is it has a little piezo micro valve in it, basically. It's like a little spider valve that's inside there that opens for a certain number of milliseconds, and then there is a pause. And that pause is controlled by the little knob that's on there, and then it releases another one. And depending on where you set that knob determines what your bubble rate is. Now, my opinion on this, Greg, is that these things are, from a time gone by, people love them because they're reliable, but the whole idea of counting bubbles is a calcium reactor world that left us 10 years ago, in my opinion, because you use pH to regulate your calcium reactor, and as long as you set the bubble rate just high enough that it's not going to blow up your calcium reactor and enough that it can actually get the pH down to the right level, you don't care about bubble counts, right?
I don't care about them.
Right. It's but they've come up with a new one. So evidently this new one now separates out the actual regulator part and the, as you probably best put it, the electronic needle valve portion of the product. And they collaborated with Tunza evidently to do this, so they could use it with their Tunza calcium reactor.
Yeah, so I use the Tunes regulator myself.
Okay.
So maybe I can just buy the one piece.
You can actually.
And
for the very discounted price of $349 just for the electronic needle valve version. So to me, it's a lot of money for something that doesn't really, it doesn't really serve a purpose for most people these days. If you have a really great regulator with a really good needle valve, you're going to control it with pH and a pH controller, whatever, an aquarium controller, whatever it may be. So I think it's something that's past its need, to be honest with you.
I think for some people it is, but you can still run it without a pH.
You could, but why would you?
I understand, but you could.
Why would you ever run such a kind of complicated piece of equipment that matters to give you the most stable alkalinity in the world and not run it with a pH controller? It makes zero sense to me. It made sense 10, 12 years ago when not everybody had a controller and you couldn't go out and buy for, $200 an aquarium controller with a pH probe on it.
Right, but I think the way I look at it is if we could do it then, we could still do it now. There may be a better way out there, but it's still possible to do it that way. And it still works.
Okay, so then what I'm going to say is if it still works, why don't you go out and build your own? So there's actually a couple of really good things out on the forums and a couple of people, this Guiterrez, he's out on Reef to Reef, and I think he used to be on Reef Central as well. And he shows you how to put together your own version of it. They actually came out and tried to threaten him too, by the way, I think with patent something or other, and I don't know if he ignored it or whatever. But
there's a patent?
Well, there supposedly is. I could not find it yet, but it's kind of irrelevant in this regard because all it really is a CO2, it's one of these, where's it from? What's the name of it? Anyway, there's a name for this particular valve, and it's a clippered mouse valve, it's called. And this is the secret sauce of the valve, which you basically turn on and off for like 30 milliseconds, right? And then all you need to do is create a timer to do that. Now, obviously, a controller itself can't do that reliably at that fast of an open close. So he created just a simple 5x5 circuit that could do it, and then you could hook that up to your tank. You actually can buy a a device from Amazon that'll do the same thing that his circuit will do here, and put one of these into play if you really wanted to do it. And that valve is like $30 or $40, and you could put together the other piece to it for another $30 or $40, and for less than $100, you'd have basically the thing that you just said, hey, maybe I can get the other thing, and I told you it's $350.
Gotcha. The only problem I see with that, and I can see why Carbon Doser threatened him, is because it says carbon doser.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
You put carbon dioxide doser.
Yeah, there's no doubt that I don't know what their trademarks and everything else are, but you can go out and search for Guiterrez on Reef to Reef and see that there are a few people that have built these and done them for themselves. For those of you out there that are into that, or I guess you can just go buy the carbon doser.
Yeah, I'm not doing it yourself.
Yeah, I'm not doing it either.
Yeah.
I just want a good regulator, and then I'd use it with a needle valve and put it on my Apex, and there you go.
Exactly.
All right, so next up is this topic, which is always out there, Greg, because you got your ear to the pavement. You're out there hearing all the drama, all the latest reef keeping drama that's fit to publish. The latest one that's come around is this whole idea of the random flow generator, which is a type of eductor that goes onto your return into your tank that randomizes the flow. And they've been out for a number of years now. And there's a video that has come out and has said, "Hey, look, I'm the guy who created the original flow generator, and his name is Kris Cleven." And then there is VCA, we talked about it early in the program, that created the RFG and has been selling them and goes to Reef Palooza and all the trade shows. We've got both of those guys on the program. We're going to talk to both of them and kind of see what their take is on the story. So what do you think?
Right.
What's your take?
So my take is the only thing I think I have a problem with when I looked at it is, well, first off, they're an eductor. So eductors have been around for a long while.
Yes, they have.
it's really.
And for those that
just-
don't know, let me stop you there, Greg, so people don't know.
Okay.
So an eductor basically is a fitting that goes onto another fitting, and through, Bernoulli or whatever, it basically accelerates the flow of the water due to the design of the nozzle and the way it pulls water along with it, and basically creates a more accelerated flow of the water flow. Okay.
Right. So it appears as though it's an adductor with fins that spin the water. That's a modification of a product that's already in there. So, but my big thing is, I'm sure there's a slight difference between both of the two guys and the way that they did it. I think the question lies in who was first. But one guy decided to make a business out of it, one guy didn't.
Right. Well,
So
I think Kris, and when we get him on here, Kris does sell all kinds of things out on Etsy, including maybe some versions of the eductors. And I could get this wrong, so we'll get this cleared up with Kris. But I do believe that he sells his designs, and from what I understand, he sells a version of the design that he does not share into the public domain space. That the latest version of the design is the ones he sells, and then he leaves the previous version into the public domain space. At least that's how it was explained to me. But that's why we're going to have him on here. And so let me try to set this up so I can get it all in the right way here.
Let's do it.
On my computer here. And we're going to bring Antonio in from VCA first, from Vivid Creative Aquatics. And, oh, look, it worked. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my God, through the magic of television. So we do have Antonio here from VCA. Antonio, welcome to Reefing Report. Thanks for joining us today. Oh, no audio.
Well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Just real quick, can you hear me?
Yeah, but you got a massive delay, at least that I can see here, buddy. So
What's going on?
I don't know what your situation is on the audio. We might
See if I
have
can turn this off. I got some Bluetooth issues here.
Yeah, you do.
Let me do this.
I feel like I'm watching a foreign film.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I tell you what, do me a favor, Antonio. I'm going to bump you off of the green room. Go ahead and log back into the green room again with that link I gave you, and I'm going to get a new connection, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, he had an extremely long delay.
Yeah, absolutely. So he'll ring in again, and we'll try that one more time. So
Yeah.
I don't know what his situation is, but
No, they're saying my audio is still pretty bad.
no, it's actually it's better now. It's not yours.
Okay.
It was his. That was weird. Oh, but I see Brymac says that yours is bad.
Yeah.
I don't see if there's any questions that need answered here. Let me see here. Just so you know, Greg, we're not up to the record yet, buddy. Okay, so we're not up to the record yet, as far as viewers are concerned. So
Where?
last I checked, we were at 84.
That's not bad.
Oh, that's not bad at all. I'm not complaining at all. That's a great stream.
They're saying you should read me while
Let me see. I'm going to get him back in here. Let's see here. All right. Let's try it now, Antonio. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Can you hear me?
Yep, it's on sync now. Whew. You had me
Perfect.
worried there. Had me worried there, buddy. But anyway, Antonio is from VCA, Vivid Creative Aquatics. If you've been out to any of the shows, you've seen him out there with his twirly bird machine that he has that shows how the RFG works, and his giant version of the RFG. So all of this drama is not lost on you. You've been hearing it obviously for a while. It's nothing new. So that's why we wanted to have you on here, man, and see, let's get some of this stuff cleared up.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys allowing me to come on and talk about this. I think it's important to talk about because the random flow generator is something that I know you guys don't use it, but I have a lot of customers
I
who
use
love
it.
it.
What are you talking
and
about?
really-
Greg doesn't use it.
What's that?
I use it, but
Oh,
Greg
that's
doesn't.
right. You have a new tank. But I know Carroll.
I mean, take a look at the
doesn't,
tank.
but
I mean, it's all because of the RFG. I mean, come on, let's go.
Okay. Well, look at the one behind me. It's all RFGs here too.
There you go.
But and I think it's important because it's something that I think changed the way a lot of people think about flowing a tank.
Right.
and I appreciate the time coming on to talk. So what do you guys want to know?
Well, I mean, one more thing on the RFG. I love the RFG, but I will say that, and I have them on the tank, but I really don't care about flow coming from my return. To be honest with you, I'm kind of a little bit in Greg's tank. I do have it on there. It was given to me from you. They do work. They absolutely do work. And likely in a even in a smaller nano tank, it's probably would serve me even more purpose than it would in obviously my big tank where I've got like 6 or 7 wave pumps in there. But really
right behind me is a 135-gallon cube, and there's no power heads in there.
Well, let me know when you have some colonies in there, brother. Okay, then we'll talk. Okay, I mean, let's be honest. Okay,
it's only a couple. It's pretty new.
It is. It looks good. It looks great. I love the light over it. But all right, so the brass tacks for me really is, and I know I've chatted with you back and forth over text over this. Really, for anybody with a product, working at Neptune Systems, I can recount exactly how we came about putting together a product, when it was, how it was. Obviously, I can't say much about that at this point, but I know that kind of evolution that we happen to have on one product or another. And I think to cut right to the chase, it's like, give us the story from day one, right, of the RFG, right? So where did this idea come from, and how did you conceptualize it and then start to put it into action?
Well, originally, I was actually trying to solve a problem. I had this little thing called a spin stream. Some of you guys may be familiar with that. It's a little gear-driven sort of nozzle that kind of spins. And it requires it to be cleaned, otherwise it kind of sticks. I'm a lazy reefer, anyways.
Right.
So I would never clean it, and the thing would stick, and it would just dig a hole in my sand, and I just got tired of that. It was at a display refugium on my 125-gallon tank that I had for a while.
Okay.
So I was looking at that, and I said, well, what if I can create something that would just kind of spin water, right? It would just kind of spread it out there and just, make just do the job of this mechanical device. And so I kind of thought about it for a while, and I drew a couple of designs up.
When was this?
And gosh, this is probably late 2016.
Okay.
In fact, I've even got, if you guys are interested, since I don't have no way of showing them to you, I have pictures of all the versions that we created when we did.
Oh, very
And it's kind of funny because these aren't even in CAD. At the time, I wasn't using CAD. I was using a program called Cinema 4D, which is an effects and animation program, which was, a program from my previous life, essentially, where I did brand building and a lot of animation and 3D modeling and things like that for large corporations. But essentially what I was trying to do was spin water, which I've learned, I learned very quickly that wasn't possible.
Okay.
But what we were doing is, at the time, it was like late 2016, I think 3D printers were suddenly no longer $5,000. You could buy one for a couple $100. So I went and bought one. Black Friday sale. I had this design I was working on. I started printing them. I'd go down to my local fish store called Saltwater Junkies, and we would sit there and test these things out and see what would happen. And obviously, because we were trying to spin water, it never really did what I was trying to accomplish. However, we did have a design that started to exhibit this sort of pulsing action. It's very characteristic of the random flow generator, right? It redirects the flow in one of 5 possible directions.
So let me stop you there. So late 2016, you basically, you looked at an eductor and said, I can make a better eductor and put some fins in it? Or, how did this work?
No, I didn't look at eductor to see if I could make it better. I was putting fins in it to try and create a vortex or spinning of water, right?
Right.
At the time, I thought that was what I wanted. That's what I wanted it to do.
Right.
The eductor portion of it was just kind of a natural progression. The eductor's been around for decades.
Sure.
Right. So, you wanted to increase volume and stuff like that. And that's the best way to do that.
Right.
And so, I went through a ton of iterations. In fact, I'll show you here. So, this is probably my first design.
Put it in the middle more, because we can't see unless it's in the middle. It's off the side. There you go. Okay.
So it's like this long curlicue thing. So I started playing with different designs, like 6 fins and 2 fins, 3 fins, and all these different sweep angles and stuff. Trying to get this thing to do what I wanted. It was right around this iteration where we started seeing that reaction.
You keep saying we, so who's we?
Well, me and my wife. We run this business.
Right.
I would show it to her. I always say we because this business that we've built over the last 5 years is a family-run business.
Right, for sure, absolutely, 100%. I see you guys absolutely at shows. Husband-wife team.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
it.
If you talk to me or you talk to the lady next to me, that's mom and pop in the mom and pop
for
business,
sure.
right?
Right.
So I always just use the word we because I'm not by myself. It's a small team of family. Right?
Understood. I just wanted
So
to make
anyway,
sure. I wanted to make sure that you didn't have some other
so right
designer or
around that,
mechanical designer helping you or something like that.
yeah, no, this iteration here is where we started seeing that example. And literally, we're sitting at a fish store and we see this thing pulsing. We're standing around looking at this, going, "What is going on with that?" It was hilarious. And so I took it back. We played with it some more. I worked the design a bit until eventually I got one that worked exactly the way I was envisioning it would work, or way I envisioned it after we saw the pulsing. Right, the original idea didn't work.
Right.
And so that's essentially how the random flow generator came about. And this is a design that really hasn't changed much since that time.
So where
right?
does the again, I mean, where does in the evolution of this product design, where does it fit in that you downloaded this other design and started to use this other design? Where does this fit into that timeline?
Yeah, so towards the end of our being ready to build a website and send this out there to the world, I was just browsing over there and I came across a nozzle called a Vortex nozzle or something along those lines. And I was like, wow, okay, well, someone's got something like this. So I downloaded it, I printed it, I tested it. In fact, I've even got copies of I think the original print right here.
Sure.
I think that's my original print from back 5 years ago, whatever that was.
Yeah, and it has evolved because I did go to the Wayback Machine and download some of the designs over time, and they have
Yeah,
evolved.
there's I've got I got the different versions that have evolved over the years here, right? But this one here doesn't do anything like a random flow generator. It's just an eductor with a small cosmetic spiral in it. I mean, I've got my demonstration tank right here if you want to see the difference.
No. I totally understand. I know I know the thing works. I know yours works, and whether or not the other works, it's just
anyway,
the
timeline.
timeline.
So I printed that and I shared it, right? Because at the time, I mean, I had no idea that the random flow generator, as I designed it, was going to make such an impact. I would argue that nobody knew that.
Right.
So
right.
I shared it out, whatever. And then I moved on with my day. I went on, I created the website, I created the marketing, which is something that I've been doing for, at that point, probably 17 years of my life, doing marketing and branding. So it was something that was very natural to me. And yeah, we branded this product, we created it, and we built a business around it.
Right. So a couple of questions. So first of all, Aretha C asks, is this VCA or RFG? Well, VCA is Vivid Creative Aquatics, just so you know. They are the company who manufactures through 3D printing the RFG, the random flow generator. And again, for those of you who might be confused, because some of you are in the world here and understand, is that the RFG was or has been marketed for a number of years, and a video that we put up last week and has been up on the Reefing Report for a week or so had claimed that they were the original design. We're going to have Kris on here in a minute, and he's going to kind of explain his direction on this. But the way I understand it, Greg, you have a question here, man, because you're sitting over there a little silent, man.
Well, so it sounds like, Antonio, what you're saying is you didn't know that Kris's version existed until after you came out with yours?
Correct. In fact, the random flow generator, the design that I have here, that I created, was never derived from anybody else's design or geometry or anything. In fact, like I said, I did this in Cinema 4D. I mean, this is another couple of versions we created. This is not even a CAD program. It's like a destructive geometry program where you create animations and stuff like that. It was the tools I had available to me. I didn't utilize anything that was existing.
Well, it's an interesting thing, right? And again, I'm only putting this here on Reefing Report because I know the drama rose up, but from a kind of an invention and a inception kind of thing, it's really interesting. When they did the Olympics down in Brazil, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Brazilians were claiming that they were the first ones who invented the airplane. That they had it at the same time as the Wright brothers, or relatively the same time as the Wright brothers. And history is rife with all of these situations where various inventions come along at exactly the same time in completely or close to the same time in completely different places without each of them knowing about the other, and knowing that they exist. And but one of the things that you were saying too, I think, Antonio, was that the original design from the the one that's in the video from Kris doesn't randomize. That particular one doesn't create the random pattern.
A little bit. I mean, that's why when I tested it, I moved on. I mean, it's essentially, like I said, it's just an eductor with the original design. The original design here, I got this.
So it's basically what you're saying is, to paraphrase for you, I'm going to paraphrase for you, which is like, oh wow, I've been working on this for a number of months. Somebody else has done something similar. I should download it, take a look at it, and see what it is. And oh wow, yeah, it doesn't quite work like the way the one is that I'm working on right now. Is that a good?
Not even quite. I mean, not at all. It doesn't. So the random flow generator essentially acts like a 5-channel nozzle, where only one channel is active at a time.
Okay.
With my patent attorney, he didn't even believe me. Like, he was just like, that's not even possible. So I showed it to him, and he was like, that's impossible.
I have to tell you that your patent, I looked at your patent, it's completely cryptic. There is no way to understand that patent. When I read through that thing, I'm like,
I agree with that.
The most confusing.
Again, I'm not a patent attorney. So.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I mean, some of them I can dig through, and I'm like, okay, get that claim. This was like so far over my head. I thought I was reading for like the latest drug from Pfizer or something like that. It was crazy.
Trust me, I had to read through that thing, and I had to make sure it said what I needed it to say, and it was pretty difficult.
Right. All right. Well, I don't want to burn too much more time, and maybe another time when you got another product or a new product or something, we'll have you on and talk about that. But I think we got kind of the information that we're looking for. Greg, you have any other question before we let Antonio go?
No, I mean, I do wonder, because I know with when you're doing a patent, you have to show prior art. Was there, when you filed a patent, was there the thought of providing the other the vortex nozzle or whatnot as prior?
We shared a lot of different things with our patent attorney, and we looked at this, and again, since it didn't function, the actual function of it was not the same. They do not work the same. Period.
So
there's just nothing.
Advised it wasn't necessary to add it.
Yeah, and so we went through the whole patent process. You get the usual rejection. We had to come back and revise. We went through the whole thing. It took about 3.5 years. Well, maybe a little less than 3.5 years, but pretty close. And yeah, I mean, it's a unique design. It did not exist in this form. So during our rejection, there was a couple of other items out there that the patent examiner brought up and said, well, this is kind of similar. This kind of does the same thing, but nothing that worked the way that the random flow generator does.
Okay.
Well, very interesting.
And I've seen the random flow generator at a lot of these shows, and it does certainly move. And you do a good job of showing how
it works. There is no doubt that it works.
Yeah, I mean, it does exactly what we say it does. It acts like a 5-channel nozzle where only one channel is active at a time, and it expels that jet at about a 30-degree angle from the tip of that nozzle. And there's some variations that we do, like we have our 1-inch version, which is shorter, a little bit wider, a little bit different geometries. It's about 35 to 40-degree angle, so it's a little wider. But essentially the idea is the same.
One last thing. I'm gonna have one last question here. I'm gonna interrupt you. Sorry. People know I'm famous for that, so I'm okay. The question is, the last question I'm going to give you is, are there people out there that you know of too that are already copying your design and selling it for a profit? Because that's like really not cool.
Absolutely. We have a number of people I'm aware of that are out there that have attempted to create their own version, and then they couldn't, so they essentially, looks to me like they just copied ours. There's a couple of 3 or 4 key elements that have to be in that design, have to be proportioned properly to each other, and have to be the right geometry for this effect to even take place. I mean, we explored so many different ideas and designs, just looking at just the different shape
in the interest of time, though, as you said, these cannot be molded, because I know we've had that discussion before. They have to be 3D printed according to you. And
Correct. So we've actually, the closest we've gotten is a medical tools manufacturer who said they could actually do this, but it was require like 3 tools,
right.
and about 4 processes and one size nozzle. And by the end of the day, that our unit cost, not counting tooling, was way outside of what it costs us to manufacture. So we continue to 3D.
So you're gonna enforce,
and we do a pretty good job.
You gonna enforce those patents against those people printing them and selling them?
You know, I think we may have to at some point. We're still, just getting all that stuff situated. We're getting everything labeled properly. It takes time. We've got a lot of different products, a lot of different moving parts.
Sure.
And it's, we will do what we have to do.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for being on the program and helping get some insight on that, Antonio. And we hope to have you on again sometime soon. Thank you so much.
Great, White. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, Terrence.
Bye now.
Terrence is still here.
Antonio, excuse me.
All right, man. So that was good insight, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is very common, like you said, with the Wright brothers. People come to the same conclusion around the same time. It's not like it hasn't been done before.
Right. So something looks the same. Awesome. It functions slightly differently. These things, but let's get the other angle from this. Let's get Kris on here and see what Kris thinks. Okay, so let me see if I can make this happen in the right way here. Off that, click on that. Oh, I still got Antonio. I gotta assign him. Let's see here. There we go. All right, Kris, are you there, man?
Yes. Yeah, I'm here. First off, I'm not really. Hey, how's it going? How's it going, Greg? Good to see you. You can see my face for once. We've chatted a lot. First off, I'm not really upset or anything like that, but I've been getting a lot of people accuse me, which is the annoyance, right? So that's what's been happening since.
Hey, Kris, can I stop you for a second, man?
2018. Yeah.
Let me at least let me get a warm up here on you, okay? So
an
introduction and everything, okay? You want to dig right in.
Yeah.
Get right in there. Anyway, this is Kris Cleven. Kris Cleven is the individual who I think I can pull it up here on this, who came up with the video, said origin story, turbulent flow nozzle that came up on the Reefing Report last week. And he's a guy who does a ton of 3D printing. I think I actually pulled up your design stuff here. So you have a whole Thingiverse thing and an Etsy store, and so you've been doing 3D printing for some time. Is that right, Kris?
Yeah, I've been probably doing it since 2009, approximately so.
Does this fit into your real world of what your real job or stuff? Is just a hobby or?
No, I used to fit into real world because we'd make prototypes. So I'm a mechanical engineer. I worked for years in the oil field making flow tools and flow nozzles, valves, high fluid flow. Hence why I know the fluid dynamics behind it. And randomly in 2008, I got into the aquarium world. I moved to Norway, had to get out. When I moved back, a friend gave me a massive pump and I built a new tank and got some clownfish. And I wanted an eductor. I can break into the story if you want background, but
we will in a minute.
Yeah. And then that's kind of what I do. But now I actually work and I mostly just project manage on very international projects, or around the world. So
you're kind of a low key guy. You're not like one of these guys who's out in the hobby, putting your face out there and your stuff. And so coming on a show like this is something completely new for you, right?
Yeah, I kind of have one foot in the door of this. Industry and one foot out. I kind of was keeping to myself. I'd deal maybe with the local fish store, and I would only look things up if something happened, like a whole bunch of stuff is growing in my tank. What is it? And then I would read, just focusing on that specific thing, and then I would buy something to fix it. But I didn't really go on the forums. I know this doesn't really piss off people, but I used to think forums were just someone sitting there and it's an opinion without a background. This is past, right? And so I kind of avoided them because it was just a lot of people, is it fact? Is it right? Is it just some guy, right, in the chat?
Right.
And, the internet has evolved since then, and you end up seeing that a lot of people have a lot to bring, and my viewpoint changed. And I try to tell people it's actually probably been Amazon, because it got people trusting on getting things sent in the mail, hence corals being shipped, fish being shipped. And it made everybody a lot easier on dealing with online and talking online. And I think it brought up people's trust all around. So even myself, I started getting more involved here recently because I've had a little bit more time. I'll have more time approximately until June, and then I got to move to Japan. So.
Oh boy. So
Yeah.
tell us about your. I mean, just give us like 15 seconds on your aquarium, man. Because I mean, this is aquarium kind of hobby and show. So I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you have an aquarium, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I do. So I have 100. Yeah, I have a 120-gallon aquarium, kind of that kind of black box aquarium. I think I have about 90, 80 pounds of live rock. I have a trigger system sump. I think it's the 39. It's kind of changed in form. I actually bought that back in 2015, and it sat dead, like just empty, for until last June. I went on Telegram's show, and they did a draw, and I just threw out a number, just whatever, and I ended up winning a coral from Lynn Reefter. And I was like, oh, I don't have a tank. I have it sitting there. It was just in the corner empty. And I asked her, I'm like, well, I'll start it up again. Can you give me 6-7 months? So I went and bought all the lights, filled it up, bought the live rock, got it all done.
Most expensive coral you ever won.
Yeah, well, luckily I owned all the equipment. It just sat there idle. So it's brand new equipment. It's just, old new stock, I guess you could say. And it sat there for years. It moved from Houston. It was in storage. It sat for a long time. And finally, that kind of rocketed me back into the industry, because my job now, I'm kind of working 2 time zones, and it's nonstop work. So it's not really, I didn't know if I could actually have time for the aquarium. Turns out I do. I probably should monitor it a little bit more. I'm having an algae plague that I keep having to scrub the rocks, which has been driving me insane. But I think I got it handled. I took everything out and scrubbed everything off, and I think it's staying that way. So,
well, I will say, and then we'll get into discussion. I will say that you do have some really cool stuff that I saw out on your Etsy store, your Thingiverse thing that's out there, like a frag rack holder that has a flow nozzle kind of built into it.
Yeah.
That I thought was,
that
was clever as hell. Okay, as far as a device, that could be useful, because getting flow around frag racks is tough, right? I mean, because of the way that they are. Some people just get the laminar flow or what have you. But that was a really cool idea. So, when we talk about the random flow generator, you put this video out there. What was your reasoning for putting this video out? I mean, we'll get the story, but what's the reasoning to put the video out?
Yeah, because when I step away, and like I said, I keep getting people messaging me or emailing me, or they're either accusing like, oh, you're stealing his design or doing this, and it's like, I've never touched his design. I've never seen it. I haven't done anything. Only until recently have I looked at it when I talked to just legal to make sure, once the patent was done, I'm like, well, I'll check with counsel and just to make sure what it is. And so they reviewed, and they knew my background and the storyline, and they gave me the good, clear, it's mine. I'm free to develop it as I want. The other people, that's on them, right? But
sure.
I have the background that I can prove that we both developed it, and it wasn't a big thing. But like I said, I told Greg this. It's not my intention to do it. I made it to share. There was a few designs he was missing, because there's some of the story that he didn't understand.
Well, why do the video? That's the first thing. Is I'm asking.
Oh,
why do the video?
I wanted to clear it up so I actually could just point people, because when they message me, I can go, here, this is the video, just go there, and then I could send it to them. I try to put it in a way that they could decide, so I try not to put any accusatory, like I said, I'm not upset.
Sure, no.
I mean, he killed it with the marketing. Like, he destroyed it. He built that business. He got it going. He went to the stores. He did, he did the running and got it going. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Were you listening to the interview?
There's nothing. Yeah, I was. And he, what was it? Like I said, nothing was illegal was done. So anything that's shared on Thingiverse or done, if you take it and you slightly modify any design relative to the physics or whichever, you can make it yours. And that's why it doesn't. It's more of an artistic protection.
I see.
Right. So, and that was kind of the thing. And I learned that more when I spoke to counsel prior.
But I will say, Kris, that your video basically makes it sound like he came out, got this from you, then started modifying it into creating the VFG.
I don't know his background.
And at least from the interview, it doesn't sound like that was what happened. Did you get that, Greg?
Yeah. I got that a little bit, but I think with from if I'm in Kris's shoes, I can see exactly how I would think. Hey, this guy copied my design, because
Absolutely,
I made my
100%.
design public for everyone's use, and this guy may have used my
As
design
a
to
launch pad.
inspire his.
Yes, as a launching pad.
Yeah.
But I mean, from the interview today I'm talking about, Greg, does it sound like that was the case? I mean, again, I can only take Antonio on his word, okay?
Right. I mean, I absolutely think it's plausible that multiple people had the same kind of thoughts. Now, Kris, being a fluid dynamics expert, is the way I would. I mean, considering his profession, it probably took him less to come up with it. We saw Antonio show a whole lot of different ones that failed before he actually got one that worked.
But according to Antonio, the design that is in question here that he had downloaded did not do the randomness. Is that, Kris, is that the case?
So can you see here? There's
I can see.
two files. What was missing was there's actually two files. He has one. So I originally shared this not on Thingiverse, but on Umagine, which is the Ultimaker site. And originally I had the SolidWorks files in there. And remember in the video I show on the SolidWorks that it has all. So basically you just suppress or hide, and it'll make the lock line part, it'll make the fan part, it'll make the piece. You could adjust the ID and adjust the size of the hole. And so I never shared it. It's just like, here's the files. You're able to adjust it as you want. And that was it. So I always had two, and I found that these ones would work. And so he puts, after, wherever the hole is. And he puts that I added it after, but it wasn't. I get all those messages, like people are like, hey, can you help? There's an error. I'm unable to slice.
Sure.
I just go into my SolidWorks and whatever's there, and I fixed some weird error, and then I uploaded it back in 2017.
But it is plausible that the one that
yeah.
he downloaded did not do the randomization
Oh,
that we're
possibly.
talking about. Right?
Yeah, because it's meant to be adjusted from the SolidWorks. I also shared the step files and all that.
Sure.
So, and I only made changes in 2017, which was not to modify. I just opened up my file, whichever the last one was, fixed that area, and then resaved it for some guy that I mentioned in there. But it wasn't, and then I uploaded. Then a year later,
this discussion, after this whole discussion, Kris, what's your feeling? Because now you've heard Antonio obviously come on and his timeline of the product, right? Which is, I started building this thing, then I downloaded, Kris's version. I tried it out. It didn't randomize, like the one that we had basically put together, put it aside, built the random one that we had, kind of happened upon without having the background that you happen to have. And move forward with that one and never really came back.
Well, that's a possibility. When I talked to legal, they said all he's going to do is claim he did it before, right? And so it's all hearsay, and it's his against mine. That's what I was advised. But he did say this one did work, where I have that in the original delay in the original file. So that was there. That was.
But that's not the one that was downloaded and that was discussed. That was downloaded.
No,
in the
that's
video.
not the one that he was using. Because what it was showing is I was just sharing a file, Thingiverse or Umagine at the time. It was based on an open source platform because the Ultimaker was shared as an open source. A lot of the patents were shared, and everybody was sharing files and distributing it amongst people. So it had everything that you needed to make it and modify it to make your own. So when I shared the files, it's like you can make your own lock line pieces. You can do whichever. You're free to adjust it as you see, and suppress these folders. And if you just suppress or open the folders,
yeah, I know how that
it'll
works.
change
It's all
the
works.
design for you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. SolidWorks. It's simple. And, and then it ended. So it wasn't until like 2018. So I had no idea any of this is going on. I never saw his product. I've been very, outside. There was Tristan, I can't remember his last name. It's a guy from the UK. I think he's from London. He messaged me and started going on. And then I messaged VCA. I forget his name. Sorry, Antonio. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I messaged Antonio. He didn't respond. Then Tristan, I think, made a post on his Facebook account, and I started, questioning him and stating that it's, the same, kind of wondering what's going on. I'm just trying to show like this has been going on because people are, accusing me. He came on and said this, and I start reading the comments, and everyone's calling it the knockoff, the copy, and it's like, well, no.
All right, no, I get it.
At the same time, so but I have, like I said, I'm not that worried, and in the background of it is. I called it a vortex nozzle first because what's going on is vortex shedding, right? So you're getting a low pressure zone and it's causing eddies to form and oscillate one, oscillates the other, and it keeps going back and forth. And that's happening around in a circular motion. And how I came up with it is when I originally I went into, there was a aquarium store. I was with a friend. We went into, it was 2015, Cinco Ranch Aquariums in Katy, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And they were selling the eductors, right?
Right.
And I saw it and I'm like, well, I could design a better one. And I made it. A friend of mine, Jim, different Jim,
Sure,
another
I understand.
friend in
Yes.
Houston. He gave me a massive pump, huge. And I put it in my aquarium that I had clownfish that were laying eggs. But this thing was just shooting a laser, like it was educting and it was just shooting
Right.
a massive laser. So I then added fins that ended up causing and inducing this vortex shedding that ends up causing it to, basically cycle around because it's making a turbulent flow. Random is the wrong term.
Okay.
Right? You have vortex shedding and
Well, let's be honest.
It's a
Anybody
great
who says
marketing
something is
thing.
random, it's very hard to make it. I have a
Yeah.
computer science degree, so making something random is incredibly difficult. It may have a pattern, but it's not necessarily random. But again, it's a marketing thing. I mean, there's tons of things that say they're random that aren't random, really.
It's the ultimate description because the lay audience will understand random better than like myself. To me,
Sure.
I'm like random. What is that?
Right.
So, like I said, I have no issues with it, but it was constantly, it was just kind of ticking on the back, and I'd go away, and it's like whatever. I got other things. This isn't, my day job. I shared it to fix, and then it keeps rearing its head, and then it reared its head again, and then one more time, and I'm like, I am tired of explaining myself. Hence why I made the video.
So you're still
And
selling
so
these.
yeah.
So you're still selling these,
Yes.
right? Okay, and you sell them just to local fish stores or through your Etsy?
Yeah, when I started, I was in Houston. I was selling it to the local fish store, kind of trading at the time, like and giving them different nozzles and giving them sizes based on the size of their tank. And it was actually a different one because I came up with one that was a little longer after that made it. And this one actually worked, even better. It was a larger size.
So are you worried
and
that he may enforce the patent or try to enforce the patent against you and then try to shut you down?
No, I talked to my legal. I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
But I'm not even worried. I mean, come probably June, I'm out of it for a while.
Yeah,
So,
you're going to Japan. So
Yeah.
happy
So,
sushi time. Time to
but-
go to Giza.
Hey, there's
Yeah, but-
reefing in Japan,
Oh, sure. Yes, there
I'll
is.
do videos and check out stuff, but I don't know if I'll have a pretty nice apartment, but I don't know if I'll set up maybe a nano, but I might just go fresh for a little bit just to have something in there. But I might go just see other people's tanks and play it from there. But I'll be right downtown Osaka, so it'll be interesting.
Well, Chris, I
But-
really appreciate you coming on the show. We're running up against a time window here. I hope you appreciate
no worries.
it. And if you got something else, we'll bring you back on the program at another time. Greg, you have any other questions for Chris?
I don't. I mean, I
Yeah.
think Chris laid it out pretty well. I mean, we know he's got the background to do it, so he understands this stuff. I think Antonio did a good job on explaining his side of it. I've spoken with Kris on the back end, even before you asked me to come on,
Sure.
and I didn't get the sense that he was angry or anything like this.
Sure,
And
neither did
truly
I.
felt it was just the situation. He just wanted to get his side of the story out there.
But you
so
know
that
how the
he
drama
could
queens
tell
are
it.
in this industry, though, man. They turn it into
Absolutely.
stuff that isn't what it needs to be, and that's why I wanted to have them both on the program to basically say, look, this is how it is. I'm building this. He's building that. He did this.
Yeah.
They did that. And not try to create some, huge drama fest that everybody tries to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but
we-
I
yeah.
would like to see Kris take this further because I've seen some of the stuff that he does. He could really be a big help in this industry.
I agree. The little brine shrimp thing's cool. The stuff for the thing. I absolutely would love to see new designs and stuff from Kris. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. No, I'll keep doing it. And there's one thing you mentioned about the tanks and what should be in. It is, in my opinion, on the very large tanks that you should go with a wave maker. It's just for the space. Like you said, not as much use your return pump. You should have extra flow on the inside.
Yeah, it's just a thing.
Nanos and very small tanks, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a general thing with big tanks. Greg and I both know what we're talking about on that. But
Yeah.
anyway, thank you so much, Kris, for coming on the program. You've been a super sport, and maybe we'll have you back on another time. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Take
Thanks,
care.
Kris.
So There you go, Greg. And, you know, we'll, you know, I think we can put a pin in this one. And
Absolutely. I don't think it's that big of a beef.
I don't think so either, but some people did. And, you know, it's my job here at the Reefing Report to say, look, some people think this is something that's in the news and happening. So
Right.
let's try to make it happen. So
Absolutely.
we're a little bit over, but Greg, I'm going to give you the spin the wheel of one more topic, okay, before we go. You've got a few on your screen there. What do you want to go with?
You know, let's go with the flipper.
Flipper, okay.
Let's go with the flipper.
All right, so let's pull up the two up with screen share, and we'll go back here. So well, there's a couple things here. There's a couple things. So first and foremost is I had show up. I actually got an email that said, "Hey, somebody's sending you something," and I was like, "Huh? Okay." And and then it showed up on my front door, a brand new flipper magnet cleaner showed up at my door, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And I know Duard from Flipper, and you know, in all transparency, he has given me free Flipper products before. And so this thing showed up on the door. It's a brand new Flipper magnet cleaner for your aquarium called the Flipper Edge, and for me, the Max. So it's a Flipper Edge and then Max, because I have the thick glass that requires the Max. So I did a video on it.
Seems pretty cool.
Yeah, I did a video on it, and you know, I've used the other one, and you guys can go out and go to the video. I have another another channel that I haven't formally really launched yet, but that I figured this is a great little product. I should kind of do a warm up. Quite honestly, I didn't put on my lav mic, so it's got a little echo in the audio, but I don't care. And give a little, you know, a little sneak peek into this new scraper. So, Greg, before the show, you said you're not a Flipper fan, you're a Tunza fan, right?
Correct.
So, what is it that you like about the Tunza that you don't think that this Flipper Edge, after watching my video, would do?
No. I can't say that it would do. I can't say
Okay.
that. I just, you know, for me, I've really been happy with the Tunzi, and they actually seem very similar. The fact that the main contact with the tank is just two blades,
Right.
nothing in the middle is touching the glass. I think that's really important for not scratching your aquarium.
Yeah, I never have a problem with the, and in the video you guys can go see, it's on reefingreport.com, it's one of the top links there. I never had a problem with the regular Flipper magnet. It's got the two little dots on it, the two little, you know, the little dots, and then I got the Flipper Float, which had some pads on it, and I never liked that one. It's in the video. I pretty much say that.
Gotcha.
But this one, yes, it doesn't rest on anything except the blades. But what's really cool, and I think it's better than the Tunza one, is not only does it look cool, it's got a fish on it, but the blades are reversible. They're stainless steel. They have a rounded edge on them. They're easily to put in and out. If you don't want to use those, you can use a credit card. You can just cut up a credit card and like snap that in there. There's
That's awesome.
no little clips like the other one, which was a pain in the ass to get the little blades on and off. It's just, I think they knocked it out of the park with this product. And, you know, if something's crap, you know I'm going to tell people I don't like it.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, and having blades on both sides, you just go back and forth, never have to spin it around.
I admit that is absolutely a bonus. And something, when you mentioned it, I'm like, okay, I can see that. It's just easy. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I thought it was a cool little product, and I was, you know, I look forward to trying it out. I would absolutely give Flipper another try, even though I love my Tunzi.
So Farm Frags asks Greg, he says, how's the magnet strength? I'm here to tell you that the float, okay, so again, I have a little bit over 3/4 inch glass. I don't remember what the metric is on it, but a little bit over 3/4 inch glass. The Flipper Max float, all the time when I would slide it back and forth, it'd become disconnected because there wasn't enough magnetic force, or down near the sand that would happen. But this one is much, much stronger. Absolutely. Super magnetic force on it comparatively, and the float, because it didn't stick as well, it would also leave streaks sometimes. I have to go back and forth multiple times. But what I will tell people is you're going to pay for this one. It's, everything's going up in China. Cost of magnets is going up in China. Everything is going up. And in order to have that strength and to have both blades and everything else, the price is going to go up. But my opinion on this, I think for the non-limited edition version, which doesn't come with the extra blades, it's going to be like $120 for the one that works on the thick glass like mine, right? Which I don't really have a problem with. I think it's going to be like $140 for the limited edition, which comes with an extra couple of sets of blades for both acrylic and the stainless. And if you have a tank that's got 3/4 inch glass, $120 should not be a barrier for you. Let's be honest, okay?
Absolutely not. And it's funny because I've told lots of my friends who decide to get these tanks at 3/4 inch, and I'm like, at that point, going cheap goes out the window.
Yeah.
Everything is going to cost you more. Every pump,
yes, exactly.
Everything's going to cost you more. So don't.
And it's not linear. It's not linear.
Yeah,
everything, all the pumps, all the all your flow, everything that you have, right? If you want to go and play with the big boys and get a 300-gallon plus tank, you're going to have to pay, and you shouldn't be sad that you're going to, and you shouldn't be nickel and diming on an algae magnet. Let's be real. I mean, your time is worth money. It takes me about 5 minutes to clean. I have a 32 by 32 by 96 tank. Okay, 3 sides
Right.
I have to clean. It takes me literally 5 minutes.
Right.
I mean, if you have to do with anything other than that, like a scraper or one of those, forget it. I'm not doing it.
Oh God.
No way. So $120? Are you kidding me? Compared to, oh man, I can find this other one for $95. I'm like, okay, $25 seriously for something you're going to have forever. And Duard said, wink, wink. I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but the little inside info here. He said it might have a lifetime warranty. So it's like anything happens to it, the magnet leaks, whatever it may be. Yeah, he's like, we'll just replace it.
Man, that's confidence.
So yeah, that's total confidence, right?
That's confidence.
So I like the product, let's just say. And Kel Anderson says, I don't know when it's available, to be honest with you. He didn't say exactly. I would say it's probably a couple months off, maybe at the most. And I think, again, I can only talk for mine. I think it's going to be $120 for the one that works on the Max for the 3/4 inch type glass. I think he might have said it's around $90 for the one that works up to 5/8 glass or half inch glass. But don't quote me on that. But I think it's a winner, and it's definitely an upgrade over everything else. I think that's out there, at this point.
Well, I'll have to try it out because I know I love my Tunzi, and I haven't had a single problem with it. But
you got to buy quasi-American, so it's an American company buying from China instead of a German company buying from Germany. So there you go.
I hear you. But I do like German products.
Yeah.
I do like products.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong. I have a BMW. There's nothing wrong with German products. I love them. Okay.
Yeah, BMW, I don't like BMW, but
Oh.
just playing. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I think we've done a great show today, Greg, and I really appreciate you being
awesome, man.
Being a guest host on here. We've got, people are tailing off now. They know it's about the end of the show, and I think we might have broken 100, man. I know I looked a couple of times, and we got close to 100. I'll wait after the show. I'll text you and let you know. But definitely on our list, you will be the the guest host. Who's usually guest host for Johnny Carson back in the day? I guess it was Joan Rivers. You'll be the Joan Rivers of the Reefing Report.
I'll be honored. It was fun, man. It was fun. And yeah, if you need me, you can call on me. But Sunday's a bad day for me. That's the only downside.
Well, there you go. I don't know that we can move it twice for you, buddy. You might have to make it happen. But
I'll make it happen. As long as I know way ahead of time, I can make it happen, I'm sure.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, Greg. And until next week, Mark should be back next week. Same, not this time and not this Bat channel, but Sunday 5 p.m. Next week, and there will be a time change, so there'll be more light out. So that'll be good.
Yeah.
But until then, Greg, until next time I see you at one of the Reef Paloozas, take care. And
Are you going to our